Megalopolis or Mega Disappointment? Let's talk about the new Francis Ford Coppola film. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Megalopolis, a brand new Francis Ford Coppola film that is coming to theaters on September 27th, 2024. It is an epic film. It has big ideas. It also has like a Roman theme, which is why I've got this thing up here that we had from an old toga party. It'll probably fall off at some point, but I thought it fit the theme. But is this film, is this epic worth your time? Well, my hot take is I think you should pass on it. Now, it's not as bad as I expected. I had heard very bad things. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't really love it. It has a grand vision and a fantastic cast, but it feels like that vision doesn't really come through in the execution. There's a lot of ideas here. There is a huge amount of ideas. It is an ambitious film. I just didn't really think it came together. It feels like there's too many ideas thrown in here. It is slow. It has a lot of characters, and it doesn't really feel like it sets everything up very well. I almost feel like this should have been maybe two movies. Two movies would have been better. More time with the characters. There's definitely a point here where you could have a big plot twist and break to another movie that happens later. That might have been a little bit more digestible. That might have given them a little bit more time to get through the ideas. But overall, I think you should ultimately pass on it. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film. A few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. And this is a 138-minute long movie, so I'm going to try to go into a very quick recap. We'll see if I can. I think I might be able to. Let's stick around and find out. But if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free, and I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Megalopolis, you have Cicero Catilina, who is, I guess, a genius artist. Apparently he's an architect and maybe a scientist too. He's trying to create this utopia that he has in his ideal future called Megalopolis. But he has opposition all around him from the mayor of the current city of New Rome, Cicero, and some other like opposing forces in here, Clodio, and some people even in his own camp that are trying to plot against him. Is he going to make his vision come true? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, things I liked about the movie. The first, I did like the style. It is set as like a modern Roman epic, and you get little Roman touches here and there. They've got like gold leaf, things in their hair. Sometimes they'll wear it as a necklace. It is modern, so people are wearing like suits and things like that, but there's little touches here and there of like the Roman Empire that is nice. It has a nice kind of look to it. The second thing I love the cast. It's a fantastic cast. I mean, you've got Adam Driver, you've got Nathalie Emmanuel, you've got Giancarlo Esposito, you've got Aubrey Plaza, you have Shia LaBeouf. A fantastic cast. You got Jon Voight and Laurence Fishburne and Dustin Hoffman. I love this cast. I just wish I loved the movie more. The last thing I liked the idea. I mean, hey, who doesn't want a utopia? Who doesn't want a place where everything is great? I like the idea of it. Okay. So, things I didn't love. It is long. The film is 138 minutes long. It is a long movie. Now, remember I said maybe we could break it up into two films. That would actually make it longer, but I think it would be more digestible if it was like a 90-minute 145 first part and then another like 145 second part. I think that would be a more digestible movie, even though it would be bigger. But overall, this film is a very long film and it feels like it. The second thing I didn't love, it is a little bit convoluted. The story just feels like too many things are thrown together, maybe too much ambition, maybe too many thoughts. Maybe I just don't have the background for this. I don't know. Maybe it's me. It's possible, but it feels like there is like too much going on here. There's this like utopian vision. There's this like Roman undertone. There is, some artistic elements. There's like superpowers also. So there is a lot in here and it feels like it kind of is jumbled together. The third thing I didn't love, it's long and it's slow. The film has some very slow pieces as, some philosophy is talked about, some like political happenings are happening. It's not like terribly slow. It does kind of move along, but there are some very slow parts in the middle of it. The fourth thing I didn't love, there is a lot of CG, and you kind of have to for a film like this, but it is noticeable at some parts. Sometimes you don't notice it. Sometimes it just kind of like moves in. But there are some scenes where some things move that look really bad. There's some scenes where, like the big grand vision doesn't look that great. There's a lot of like mixed use of CG in here. The fifth thing I didn't love as much, I'll call it lack of consequences. There's a big plot point that happens and almost has no consequences. I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'll talk about it in the recap, but I was a little disappointed in that. And the last thing I didn't love the ending. We go through this long journey and I didn't love the ending. So All that being said, Megalopolis comes to theaters on September 27th, 2024. Like I said, it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. I expected it to be a giant mess. It had some things I liked about it. But overall, I think you should ultimately pass on it. But if you do watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some big surprises along the way. I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So in Megalopolis, you have the main character, Cesar Catilina. I'll just call him Caesar. He is an artist and I guess maybe a scientist and an architect. And also, we find out later he kind of has magic powers. I'm not going to go into that right now, but he's all these things. He has a vision for the city. He has a vision to like improve the city of New Rome by building this section of the city that he's going to call Megalopolis. That will be fueled by this new technology he's created. It's like a fabric metal. I forget what they called it in the movie, but it's like a fabric metal that can like adapt and whatnot. So it'll basically be a utopia where everyone will get whatever they want, but there is a bunch of bureaucracy in the way. First, he has to like get that space, which is in the middle of a city. There's people there. He would have to like buy them out, destroy their houses, things like that. Things that people really don't want. I think that this is falling. Is it falling? Let me see. No, it's not falling. It just looks terrible. That's fine. Things that people don't want. He has to like buy out their land. But he's doing it to help them overall, but they don't really like that because they're going to lose their homes for a while. So he has to get all that. There's a bunch of bureaucracy in the way. The mayor doesn't want him to do this. So there's a lot going against Caesar. Now Caesar has a lover, this I think journalist called Platinum Wow. Great name. Yeah, sure. It's Aubrey Plaza. She plays Platinum Wow. She's Caesar's lover, and they seem to have kind of a tumultuous relationship. It seems to be maybe a little bit in secret as well. But they have that going. Now, speaking of the impediments to Caesar's vision, Cicero is the mayor, but he used to be like a DA or the police chief. He and Caesar are enemies because years earlier he charged Caesar with the murder of his wife. Caesar's wife died when I think she drove off a bridge and like drowned in her car, and I guess there were suspicious circumstances and they never found the body. So the DA at that point, Cicero, charged Caesar with the murder. He was never convicted. I guess probably because they couldn't find the body, but that's what happened. And now they're further enemies because he is holding back Megalopolis. Now Cicero's daughter, Julia, is this like socialite, this really smart socialite. Now we meet her because she sent a mean letter to Caesar. The film started with some sort of fashion show. And during then, Julia like scribbled like a mustache on a picture of Caesar and mailed it to him. And now she goes the next day to his office to try to get it back. And apparently Caesar already opened it and he knows who she is. And they start talking. And we find out that she's actually very brilliant. Like she is a socialite, but she is brilliant. He shows her his vision of Megalopolis. And it's a kind of funny scene because Megalopolis is like set out with random objects. Like there is like a basketball and like a paper towel tube, and all of this is supposed to represent Megalopolis. And he tells Julia to like walk through it with her eyes closed. And apparently she can just like see Megalopolis while she's doing this. She can envision it in her head. And so she sees what he's thinking and gets behind his vision, and I guess they start working together. Now, as Caesar and Julia start to spend more time together, it seems like his relationship with Wow starts to deteriorate. And so later, she surprisingly gets engaged to Crassus, who I think is Caesar's uncle and also is a banker. He controls like the main bank in New Rome. And so he controls a lot of the money. He is very rich. And now he has a young wife. Crassus is much older than Wow. He is very powerful. But you know what? Hey, love is love, right? I guess. So they have this big wedding ceremony that is almost more like a festival. Like it's like a traditional like Roman arena type situation where Crassus and other family members are on this like table elevated above everyone. There's like stands where people can come to watch, and the wedding has like chariot races and other events. But all of this is to celebrate the wedding of Wow and Crassus. Now at the wedding, Caesar shows up for a little bit, but then he leaves quickly, and Julia is there with him. She is working. She is, I guess, his assistant here, even though they are becoming very close. And after he leaves the wedding, I don't know if it's because he's mad at Wow. I don't know if he just doesn't like his family, but Caesar gets super drunk and gets in a fight. Also at the wedding are, I think they are Crassus's nephews. So maybe they're friends with. I don't really know all the family dynamics here, but I think they're Crassus's nephews. It's this family of four very rich, spoiled kids, and the main one is Clodio, who is played by Shia LaBeouf. And hey, it's great to see Shia LaBeouf again. It's always fun to see Shia LaBeouf in a movie, but they are like, I guess, rebellious. They're kind of pranksters. They, kind of like don't really care much about social norms. They also apparently having sex with each other. It is a strange little thing to add, but that is it is Clodio and his three sisters. So they are all there at the wedding also. Now, at the wedding, there was a performance by this renowned virgin named Vesta Sweetwater. I guess she has like made a pledge of virginity, and so that is like her big thing. And so she has a performance with a bunch of other virgins. I think there's like six of them or something like that. And they have this like big performance where they are singing at the wedding and also fundraising for her pledge of virginity. And so they keep getting more and more money from these rich people at this wedding. I guess it's maybe supposed to show like the excess of wealth and like the waste of money. I don't know. But eventually someone pledges like $100 million for her pledge of virginity. So I guess everything is great. I guess they can fund her virginity pledge longer, I think. But this is when Clodio strikes. He had gotten a video to like the person who is controlling the AV at this wedding, and he paid him to show this video at a certain time, and now is the time. And so we see this video, and it is a video of Caesar and Vesta having sex. And so everyone gets mad at this because she's supposed to be a virgin, but she can't be if she's having sex with a Caesar. And also, apparently, I think she's supposed to be young. I think she's supposed to be like 16. So this would also be illegal. This would be statutory rape. So not good for Caesar, not good for Vesta. Everyone gets mad at her because she's raising money for her virginity pledge, but apparently she is not a virgin. So that is, I guess, a big issue here. And also, Caesar gets arrested for statutory rape. Now, Julia doesn't believe that this is real. Julia thinks that this is all doctored. So she goes and investigates. And eventually she finds Vesta's birth certificate. I don't know how Julia was able to track this all down. You would think that some other press would track this down at some point, but maybe it's also showing the corruption of the press. I don't know. But Julia is able to track down Vesta's original birth certificate, and it shows that she is actually 23, not 16. So I guess it's okay. Like, I mean, she's still theoretically lying about being a virgin, but she is not an underage virgin, and so Caesar can go free. Now, we also, I guess, find out that this video was doctored, as we expected, as we thought. So Julia takes this to her father, the mayor, and says, look, he's fine. And her father, because he doesn't like Caesar and he doesn't like what he's doing, he rips up the birth certificate. She's like, I can get more copies of that. But he, I guess, doesn't want to let Caesar go. Now, Julia goes around him, gives these birth certificate information, I guess, to other news outlets. And so they all start reporting on this, and Caesar gets free. So Caesar goes back to his like tower where he is building Megalopolis and thinking, and Julia goes to visit him. But Caesar is sad because I guess he got thrown in jail, and this was a bad experience for him. And he says that he can no longer stop time. Apparently, he could stop time before. I don't know. It wasn't like, I think it was, I don't know if it was supposed to be like a like metaphorical stop time. Like I can think so hard that I just, think quickly, and so time doesn't move, or I can think so hard that like the world around me stops. I think it's actually supposed to be like a real stopping time. Like he has superpowers. So he says he used to be able to stop time, but now he can't. But then when he grabs Julia's hand, he finds that he can stop time. So together, I guess Wonder Twin powers or something, they can stop time. And this shows when Julia like drops a glass and grabs his hand. They're on these like beams way up on the top of this tower. And when she grabs his hand, time stops and that glass stops falling. So I guess they have magic powers together. So Clodio is, I think, I don't know, upset with this. He's just kind of like a little bit of a antagonist in this whole movie. So he's trying to like get some more power, and so maybe he's angry that Caesar is released because maybe I guess he framed him earlier, and now he's angry at this. So after all of this, Clodio is trying to get some more power, and so he works on like a grassroots effort to run against Cicero for mayor. And I think he maybe views Caesar as a potential, opponent. And so he starts to use the anger against Caesar, who is trying to like build Megapolis to rally people towards his cause. Now, because Caesar is building Megapolis, that means that some of these houses that were in the way of Megapolis are going to get demolished. And this is causing a lot of anger because people generally don't like to lose their homes. And so Clodio uses that anger to like build up a mob and to gain some political power to run against Cicero for the mayorship. Now, I guess Caesar's Megapolis is building very quickly because now he has like a prototype, like a nice big prototype of what Megapolis would look like. I think it's like a room or two and some sort of like magic transportation system that looks like it uses like what looks like water to transport people so they don't have to walk. Anyways, he invites Cicero over to see this prototype, and they have a lovely dinner. They're talking, everything seems okay. And then I think this is what happened. I think they reveal, like Caesar and Julia reveal to Cicero, her father and her mother, that they're pregnant. This makes Cicero very unhappy, and he leaves and he gets upset. So, but Julia and Cicero are pregnant. Yay! Now, meanwhile, Clodio is gaining more and more power, gaining more and more influence, and Cicero is getting worried because he doesn't want to lose the mayorship. So he sends Nush, played by Dustin Hoffman, to stop him. And they're like, oh, this will be cool. We'll see what Nush can do. We don't see him ever again. It's very weird. He like, there's this big scene where he's like going to go stop Clodio, and then we never see him again. We find out what happens later. Later, at some point, we find out that like I think Clodio arranged for a calm to fall on him, but we don't see this before, and we would think we would see some sort of like cool scene where he's trying to stop Clodio, but we don't. It just kind of disappears after this. So Clodio, I think, also maybe starts to see Caesar as a rival, see Caesar as someone who could maybe run for the mayorship also, and so he has his henchman try to stop him, and his henchman is played by Jason Schwartz, and he hires a kid to go and get Caesar's autograph. And so Caesar is apparently, well, he'll never like deny a kid. So he gets this kid, he like signs something for him, talks to him for a bit. He's actually very sweet. He's like really interested in what this kid is thinking. And then the kid's like, hey, Caesar. And then he pulls out a gun and shoots him in the face. And you're like, whoa, that was an escalation. But I guess also now Caesar's powers can work because when the bullet like goes into his face, we see this like weird CG scene where it kind of like stops, and so it doesn't go like all the way through his face. It like stops in his face. So it seems like Caesar's powers work at this moment, and also the bullet doesn't like kill him. It just like goes into his brain and stops. And so what do they use to fix it? Well, they use this like magic metal that he's going to build Megapolis with, and they just like put this magic metal on his face to like regrow his face. And I was like, that's kind of anticlimactic. The whole scene was like, wow, he's shot in the face. That's a huge thing. No Caesar, what's going to happen next? And then they're like, oh no, he used magic powers to stop the bullet, and now we're going to use this magic metal to regrow his face, and there's essentially no consequences. I mean, his face looks metal for a little bit, and I guess he gets angry that he almost got killed, but there's no actual consequences for this big climactic moment in this film. So now Caesar has a little metal face, like kind of like Phantom of the Opera, a little bit like Phantom of the Opera for a bit. Eventually it goes away and he's fine. So meanwhile, after all of this, Clodio gets upset because now Caesar's gonna be like a martyr because he got shot in the face. And he doesn't like instantly reappear. He goes into hiding for a bit. So you know, for all intents and purposes, he is gone. But like I said, there's almost no consequences to Caesar. But but Clodio is still plotting, and he and Wow come up with a plot. They want Cassius's money, so they plot to take it. I think if I remember, if the family hierarchy is right in my head, which it might not be, I think Wow is actually Claudio's step aunt. So they are plotting, and while they're plotting, they like kind of hook up while they're plotting. So it's basically a porn at this point. I mean, she's not like stuck in a dryer or anything, but they're plotting, and then you know, she says something like, "Do you want Auntie?" or something like that. It's a weird scene, but in any event, they are going to plot to take over Cassius's money. Clodio, being I think Cassius's nephew, if I'm right, is trusted by Cassius, and so Cassie's been trying to get Clodio to like become more serious about the business, and Claudio's been kind of like you know, a socialite, like a mess up. But he's getting into politics, so he's getting serious about something. But in any event, he now says like, I want to be part of this business, and so he comes up with this document to give him like essentially interim CEO powers, so he can like help take on more in the bank. But What Cassius doesn't know is this document, I think, gives Clodio more power than Clodio is representing. Because Cassius trusts him, he's just going to sign it because it's family. So, after Cassius has signed this, Wow, who is Cassius's wife, and Clodio do a hostile takeover of the bank. And this betrayal then leads Cassius to have, I think, kind of like a stroke or a heart attack or some sort of event, which leads him like almost bedridden and also like having like a tough time, talking and things like that. I think it's essentially a stroke. So, as a result of this takeover, they also free Caesar's accounts, which means that he can't build Megapolis anymore. He needs money, obviously, to buy up huge swaths of land, tear them down, and make magic metal, so he can't build Megapolis. Now, I think Caesar comes to see what happened. And Clodio and Wow like say, oh, we'll look into it. We don't know. It must be an error. We'll look into it. But we also find out that Cassius seems like he was faking it because later in the bedroom, we see Wow and Clodio there. I think maybe they start hooking up. I don't remember exactly. And Cassius is like in bed pretending to have a stroke. But then he's like, surprise, and he pulls out a bow, like a little mini bow. It's almost like a kid's bow with real arrows. And he pulls back and fires an arrow right at Wow. It hits her like right in the chest. And so she keels over and dies. Then Clodio is upset about this. He tries to run away, and Cassius shoots him like twice, but hits him in the butt. So he's able to escape. Wow is dead. And so I guess Cassius at this point doesn't lose his bank. Although you think he would probably lose his bank if he killed someone. Feels like that would be some reason that maybe he would go to jail. But I don't know. After this, this unfreezes Caesar's account, or maybe Cassius unfreezes his account before he goes to jail, and allows Caesar to keep building. And so because of this, he's able to build Megapolis. Now he gives a speech, I think from Megapolis. And so this seems like the fastest construction ever. He is basically able to like build up his super city very quickly. There wasn't anything that said like 25 years later. It was just like, now we have Megapolis. So it seems like Megapolis is built. Cicero and his wife come to visit. And when they come, Cicero's wife has always has seemed to like Caesar. Cicero doesn't. They are old enemies. But when they get to Megapolis, they're showing Cicero and his wife around, and there's this like magic moving platform that looks like it has water on it that's moving people. And so Cicero's wife gets on it and holds out her hand to Cicero. And eventually Cicero grabs her hand and gets on it, showing that he's going to try out Megapolis, maybe like try out the future and not be stuck in the past. So we also find out that that Caesar and Julia had their kid, and so this kid is there. It's a cute kid, and they put the kid down. Apparently, the kid also has magic powers because when they put the kid down, time stops for everyone but the child. So the child can move around, and everyone else is stopped. So I hope that the kid can control his powers. You'd think maybe a baby wouldn't be able to do that, but we don't know, because that's the ending. When that happens, the baby makes some cute sounds. It's cute. And that's Megapolis. Like I said, it was a little bit too much for me. I did not love it as much as I expected to. It had a grand vision and a fantastic cast, but overall, the story and the execution just didn't really do it for me. So if you do watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.